Greetings and salutations. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining me in this Sunday school class. We're looking at Mark chapter 10. We're looking at verses 46 to 52. If you haven't read it, stop, take some time, read it. Just a few notes is that Timaeus is one of the names. Bartimaeus, I figure you can probably pronounce that. But it's Timaeus is the name of the guy. You just call him Timmy. Well, that's his dad, so maybe Timothy, but Timaeus. All right, stop, pause, read, come back. All right, well, this is obviously the healing of blind Bartimaeus. That's how it's normally talked about. And in this particular passage, there's two things I want you that jump out at me that I think maybe are worth talking about. First is that Bartimaeus wanted to be healed. He wanted to be healed really, 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 really bad. And so even though people told him to sit down and shut up, he continued to call out to Jesus when he heard Jesus was around. He kept going on and on and on. There's a parable that Jesus talks about, the woman who goes to the judge and wants justice. She's a widow, and she goes over and over and over, and finally the judge gives in because of her long suffering or whatever, her continued going on out about it. Well, Jesus says, we should pray like that. Well, here's a real world example, if you will, not a parable. A guy who just keeps on and on and on. So our prayer life, we really need to be willing to zero in on it. It's not that God demands, okay, I'm going to wait till you prayed 7 times for it. But God expects us to really, really want something if we really, really want. Now, that doesn't mean that God's going to say yes, but in this case, obviously, Jesus heals the guy, which is the next piece. As it says, "What do you want me to do for you?" says Jesus, and he says, "Teacher, I want to see." And Jesus says, "Your faith has healed you." Now, there's a lot of controversy over faith and healings or faith and miracles. Whose faith is it? In this case, it looks like it's Bartimaeus' faith. But there are other passages, and if you want to do a search on your Palm Pilots or your tablets or whatever, you can find other places where it's clearly the faith of the friends with the paralytic who's dropped down. He says, seeing their faith, he healed them. In other places, the person in question can have no faith, and the family has very little faith, and it's the faith of Jesus. So this is a good question to wrestle with, because the answer is, yeah, you'll have to decide. Whose faith is it? Where is the faith required for a healing to happen? Or is it just the fact there needs to be some faith somewhere? So there you are. You have it. You ought to have a great conversation here. And the reality is that this is relevant to your lives because your faith is important. Whether you believe in mind over matter, and that's the faith, we know that faith has serious consequences in your real life. And so whether it's faith in yourself or faith in Jesus, and I think that makes a difference. So it's a good, again, more conversation to have. Hey, I hope that I've muddied the waters enough to give you a great discussion. We'll see you next week.